What we're going to focus on here in Harari's book is we're going to focus on the agricultural revolution, and specifically the section in the very beginning on where Harari calls it the agricultural revolution, history's biggest fraud. And the reason he calls it that is that he talks about the fact that scholars, looking back into the past, talked about mankind and sapiens, that they got more intelligent and they became smart enough to decipher nature's secrets, enabling them to tame sheep and cultivate wheat. And some of the background that they used for that was the fact that the agricultural revolution itself was actually independently developed in many different places and so there's reason to believe that that it was a plus for the sapiens. And so Harari's question was it really a conscious decision, and was it a good thing for sapiens? And his answer is that for 90% of the people, the peasants, it was hard labor, and so it wasn't really a big advantage, and that there was fewer dietary advantages, right? And then the farmers had to defend the crops or use surplus crops to pay for rulers to defend the territory. And so that no matter what the situation was, didn't seem like this was a great plus for sapiens. Meanwhile, it also ushered in the elites. And so now that we're looking at the kings and the soldiers and the priest caste that's coming in, so why if that's the case, why did they even do it? All right. And Harari's position is that the currency of evolution is copies of DNA, not species happiness. So history is not about the species happiness, all right? And its history is about the number of DNA, all right? Now, why did sapiens, not just discard this life? And the reason he explains is that the reason for that is that what happened is that we created these artifact traps, and they imprisoned us. And they imprisoned us, and not only did they imprison us, but sapiens were not alone in this prison, but we actually pulled into the prison certain of the domesticated animals, such as the sheep and pigs, chickens and cows, and also goats. I mean, and they actually ended up becoming part of the bargain of DNA versus happiness, and they ended up in the same prison that we were. Now, there's an alternative explanation also that Harari brings up, and he talks about the fact that some scholars also look at divine intervention as a possibility for this Faustian bargain. All right, and so that he talks about the fact that it may not have been the search for an easier life, but rather religious aspirations. And the justification for this kind of position is the research that was done in Turkey, and findings in Turkey of a Göbekli Tepe, where some credibility to the suggestion that the actual temple may have been built prior to the thing. So Harari comes out with three major lessons, if you will. One of history's lessons is that often immense forces of change transform the world in ways nobody envisioned. Another is that the discrepancy between evolutionary success and individual suffering is one of the most significant lessons of the agricultural revolution. And his third item is one of history's iron laws, is that luxuries tend to become necessities, which is what he's talking about with regards to the prison of our artifacts.